Guess who's back? Back again.
I'm dancing because that's actually the name of an anime theme song for Black Clover, and so
Oh, fun. But no, we're finally back. It's been like 3 whole weeks.
yeah, which
but I have a good excuse. We're gonna get the vibe check going. I think it's a good excuse. I moved. I have a whole new apartment now. This is my new office. It's a little bit smaller than my old one, but that's okay.
Yeah. And now you have
the vibes are good.
You have a co-star.
I have a co-star. I have a noodle in the background who you can actually kind of see a little bit right there.
I did.
Right there in the corner.
Hi, Alpha.
But so how are you doing? It's been forever since we've done this.
I know. I'm on summer mode, so
I love that.
You know, people think I have summers off, which isn't really true. I mean, I still have meetings and research and right, like I'm still working every day. But I don't have to go anywhere to do the work, and I can kind of do it on my own schedule, which is nice.
That does sound absolutely lovely.
Yeah. So it's more chill, but it's not time off. There is no such thing.
Fair enough. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to quote unquote announce. Well, welcome to our new time, first of all.
I thought we didn't do this the last time we did this. Oh.
So yeah, we are going on at 8 now, and that's that should be, or is most likely going to be, how it's going to be from here on out. It's going to be show at 8, stream at 8, so you don't have to remember any different times or anything. Very much more consistent. Yes. So that's a fun little update for everybody, not just us. And yeah, anything else going on?
No. I can assure everybody that I did not somehow get swept away by the rain that was here in Rochester today. I don't know if this is a widespread thing, if there's some sort of hurricane going on, because I try very hard to pay as little attention to the news right now as possible for my own mental health.
Yeah, for my own sanity.
Yes. But it got apocalyptic with the rain here today.
Jeez, it wasn't bad here. It wasn't that bad here today. I mean, it was cloudy and everything, but also just in general, we've had boomer moments about the rain recently, but like, come the fuck on, man.
Yeah, the thing is, I love rain, except when I got shit to do, and you're messing with that shit is the problem.
Yeah, you hate to see it.
I've been in like spring cleaning mode, because it's technically spring for like a couple more days.
Yeah.
And so I'm like trying to get rid of all this stuff, and it's kind of hard to take stuff out to get rid of the stuff in a torrential downpour.
Yeah, it's really not ideal.
So I'm a little bitter about that, but it is, you know what it's great for? Naps.
It is great for naps. If only I could sleep during the fucking day.
Yeah. I mean,
it's rare. It's rare. I don't know. It's rare that I can actually fall asleep during the day. I don't know what that's like means about me, but there you have it.
Yeah. I've noticed you're not a nap person.
I'm really not a nap person, which is kind of surprising considering that everything else about me and how hard it is to get me out of bed in the mornings.
Yeah.
But
no, I love a good nap. I took a nap on the couch with Luna today.
That sounds delightful.
She was right there a second ago, I swear.
But we are doing something a little bit different tonight in that you have all the questions for us.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited about. There are so few surprises for me on this show. I'm excited to be on the other end.
Yeah, it's just like over the last few weeks when we haven't been doing this, there have been a few occasions in my life where questions have popped up that made me think, and I was like, oh, let me remember to put these in my phone so I don't forget. And I managed to save up 3 of them.
I haven't had time to think.
Yeah. Well,
man, I've got to say, this moving shit, Oh boy.
I was hoping you would say it's for the birds, fit into the boomer kind of,
Boomer. Yeah, it sucks, man.
It
Like
sure
the whole moving in, like, with Kyle thing, that's fantastic. I'm a huge fan. The place is very nice, but the actual packing up and transporting
Yep.
and unpacking of all my shit,
Yep.
hated it.
That's
And
why
have
I'm just putting it off as long as I can.
firmly decided to never do it again. If I have to do this again, I'm paying somebody.
This is the longest I have ever gone without moving.
I love that for you.
I've been here 10 years.
Damn.
Like, even including my childhood.
Wow.
So, yeah.
All right. Okay, so what's our first question tonight, Bessie?
Oh man, I didn't even think about the order of them. Okay, you know what? I will do them in the order in which I put them in here. Starting with the oldest. Let's
And
go
I
with
would
that.
like the stories that led you to think of these questions, please.
Yes. So the first question I have, and before I ask the question, trying something else a little bit different this time with sound effects.
Yes, we're getting real jiggy with the sound effects. It should be fun.
Yeah, so the idea is I put some sound effects in there of like the bell they use in like boxing rings that to kind of like start and end discussions. So I mentioned
like
that because I don't want you to be startled when all of a sudden there's a bell ding after I ask a question.
Yes, you're not hearing things. We are doing it on purpose.
Yeah, it seems fun. Okay. All right, so here's the first one I have for us. How far do you have to live from a place to buy souvenirs of that place?
I don't know if there's necessarily like a mile radius, because like what if you live really close to like a cool museum, but you've never been there and you want to get a little something when you go inside. So I don't know if there's an exact distance.
Well, so the sort of background of this is, and I'm saving most of this for the worsening, but a few weeks ago I went to Niagara Falls Comic Con, with in Niagara Falls, Canada. So it's across the border. It's a completely different country technically, but I feel no need to get merch from that area because it's like an hour and a half drive.
That's fair.
And it's like I can go to all these places just on a day trip whenever I feel like it. I mean, it's a pain to get across the border sometimes, but and so that kind of got me thinking about it, like, and all of the sort of sub questions that brings up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I can't. There definitely isn't a specific mile or time radius that comes to mind because, like, I'm quote unquote, like, compared to some people, I'm only 3 hours from New York City, but like, I still have some shit that I got because I was like, hell yeah, I'm in New York City.
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's one of the sort of sub questions in this, I guess. Like,
I think it also partially depends on how big of a tourist destination the place is.
Yeah,
because like Albany, not so much, but New York, even if if I was even closer to New York, I'd still kind of be like, hell yeah. Or I don't know, at least I think I would.
Yeah, I mean, so, but then there's also the distinction between like, is it merged for like a city or like a specific place in that city? Because you mentioned like the museum, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, sure, that makes sense because even if you live close to it, you're probably going to go there like the one time.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm pretty sure I have something from the State History Museum, and that's right in Albany.
Yeah. But if it's a city, like I've been to Niagara Falls a few times. Mm-hmm. And so looking at the merch, it's like, I've been here a few times. I'll be here again.
Yeah, I guess for like a time, I feel like it's got to be more than like it's got to be like a couple hours is when it starts.
Yeah, I don't know though, because like,
but as far as like
Toronto.
a specific location, far as like a specific location, like you lived right next to the world's, or like quite close to the world's biggest teapot, correct? Would
The
you
world's
not
largest.
would you not still get an item from the world's largest teapot?
I have an item from the world's largest teapot. I have a Christmas ornament because they don't. Technically, it doesn't really operate anymore, and it was a special one-off thing a few years ago. Um, but to me, that's not like a souvenir of like, ah, my memories of the world's largest teapot. It's more like, I think it's kind of whimsical,
Okay.
you know. And so it's not really like a souvenir to remember that I've been to this place because I have passed it probably thousands of times in my life.
Hmm.
And so it's not really like a souvenir in that sense.
I suppose. So yeah, I guess it starts around like a couple hours. Or at least that
Yeah.
if you're I know distance is relative and people in smaller countries are absolutely flabbergasted by the distances that Americans will drive on, just a random ass Tuesday.
Mm.
Um but if you're living in a country as stupidly huge as this one, I'm gonna say it starts around like 2 to 3 hours from where you live is where you get into like reasonable souvenir territory.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about Toronto, which is like a 2.5 hour drive from here, and I'm not gonna get like Toronto merch. Like I went to
Fair.
Toronto. Um, that's the only one I could think of that's sort of like in that range. Although I
Yeah.
guess Albany is like a little over 3 hours.
Well, nobody wants a souvenir from fucking Albany.
There is that. But but this also like it's the wider question of like what are the criteria you use to decide whether you are going to get like souvenirs from a place?
I mean, I definitely think how much you want to be there is
Yeah.
part of it. Because, like, maybe you get sent to a cool city, but it's on a shitty business trip and you don't feel like remembering that.
Yeah. Yeah. There is that. Um, I think one of the other sort of things is like your likelihood of ever being in that place again.
Which is why I have a shit ass ton of things from St. Petersburg.
Yeah, it's like okay, I know this is like a one-time thing. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm wearing these
This is
e- earrings I got from a street vendor in Paris.
There you go. That's the thing. If you know that this is probably it,
Yeah.
then I think that definitely, like, even if it's a place that's maybe on the closer side, that's not necessarily like, a huge international vacation, but if like, I don't have any reason to come here again, and I'm having a good time, then maybe that justifies getting something like getting a souvenir from a place that's maybe a little closer to you.
But I think even the I'm only going to be here once thing can help overcome the this isn't a very cool or exciting tourist destination thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is like, even if it's not a cool place like New York City, right? If it's just like a random town somewhere and you had a fun time there, even though it's not like a big tourist destination, you're like, I want to remember this. And they have souvenirs for this area.
Yeah, okay.
That
I
one
do
is
get.
actually specific to something I once
Explain.
did. Because before I lived here, I lived in Maine, in Bangor. And one of my best friends from graduate school is from Skaneateles. And she was getting married on Lake Seneca. Gosh, this
Sure.
was 11 years ago. Yeah. So living in Maine at the time, this was like a 10.5 hour drive or something to go down there for
Wow.
her wedding. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't going to stay in any of the hotels that were super close by because like they're like $400 a night.
You hate to see it.
So instead, me and my boyfriend at the time stayed in Canandaigua.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember Canandaigua, that's where we got our dates.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was fun.
But we had stayed in Canandaigua, and at the time, it was just this completely random small town that I was never going to be in again.
Mm-hmm.
And it had kind of a fun name. and we were in, I think it was like a Wegmans or something, and they had like souvenirs, and there was a mug that said Canandaigua, like the chosen spot. And I
Sure,
bought
why
one.
not?
I have that mug because I was like, this souvenir of this completely random place that I've been to one time and I will never go to again. I was just there for a friend's wedding. And then it was like a year later that I moved like half an hour away from Canandaigua.
That's wild.
And I go there frequently. I love
Well, there you
Canandaigua. It's
go.
a cute little village, but
It's
it's
absolutely adorable. I loved walking around there after we both got piercings together.
yeah, when our ears look like a murder scene.
Oh my god, I know. Well, you fucking said something to me, like somewhere in the 30 to 45-minute range after that happened. You're like, we were talking about like it like comes in stages. First it like really hurts and then it really itches.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because the blood starts drying,
Oh yeah.
and that's what makes it itchy.
Mhm.
But that's what I
don't know,
mean
though.
by like, it's not really a tourist destination. There is a Finger Lake in Canandaigua because there's Lake Canandaigua.
Okay, so yeah, they have that going for themselves. I mean, I've gotten souvenirs from Lake Placid, and that's like 3-4 hours away.
But that's like a thing, though.
Yeah, I suppose because they have
You
the
know?
Olympic Village there.
Yeah, because like if you say Lake Placid, people know what you're talking about. If you say Canandaigua to a person who's not from around here, they're not gonna know what that is.
Yeah, okay, point taken.
So that's what I mean by the idea that you're only going to be there once somehow overriding, and you're like, I'm never going to be here again, but I want this souvenir to remind me of the time that I did go to this place.
Okay, yeah.
So just kind of thinking about it, it's like I find it very hard to explain.
It's hard to pin down.
Yeah, because looking at in Niagara Falls, there's all this Niagara Falls stuff, and I constantly make the joke like, hey, look, there's a waterfall, because it's massive.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've never done any of the touristy things there. Never had time, but
I haven't been to Niagara Falls since I was a small child. Ooh, wow. I should tighten my camera mount.
oh no.
I have not been to Niagara Falls since I was a small child.
The US side or Canadian side?
Either. I think I've been to both sides. One of them when I was like 7, because I went to Canada with my family when I was like 6 or 7, and I hardly remember it at all. And I've definitely been to the American side maybe like twice, but again, it was when I was much younger.
I've only ever been to the Canadian side.
Whack.
Which is weird. Yeah. But supposedly it's so much better than the US side is what everybody says. The view.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so it just made me reflect on the souvenirs I have and where I got them and why I got them. And I can't tell you. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very objective type question. But I definitely have more things from places that are further away that I'm less likely to get to again.
Yeah.
So I think it's really like there's a chart, there's a graph in here somewhere of distance to like distance and likelihood of ever going there again, and it goes up based on that.
But then also popularity of or like coolness.
Then we have to have a 3-dimensional graph, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole reason this came up is because I was looking at the souvenirs and I was like, we live so close to this place. I can come here anytime. Why would I want something to remember it by, kind of thing.
I think so. Your x-axis is likelihood of ever going there again. Your y-axis is distance, and then your z-axis is the like cool factor of the location.
Yeah, I'd say those are the 3 kind of major ones.
I dig it. Do we have anything else to say about this, or would we like to hit the bell?
I am very excited about hitting the bell.
Do it, do it. All right, what's next?
This is the kind of stuff I nerd out on, is like the sound effects.
This is such a fun little adventure for me, not being the person with the questions for once.
All right. I don't know what your thoughts on this one are going to be.
Okay.
And I had trouble with phrasing this, so I'll explain what I mean by it. So the question is there a time limit on how long you can own and wear a piece of clothing?
I'm going to say fuck no. Just as a person who has t-shirts that are like 10 years old, no.
Well, but like, so
I mean, if something goes horrendously out of style, I'm not going to wear it anymore. But but also like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't tend to hop on the micro trends.
Well, see, to me, the t-shirts are a bit of an exception because t-shirts,
because they're kind of like always cool.
They're just the perpetual like basic shape of shirt, right? Mm-hmm. But the reason I was kind of asking myself this is because, like, aside from t-shirts, I have a few shirts that I really like. I think they're cute. I like the pattern and the colors, and they're very comfortable. And it's like, but is there a point where I have owned and been wearing this shirt too long? So this shirt that I still like, that I still enjoy wearing, that I should stop wearing because I've been wearing it for a long time.
I am gonna push back hard against that and say that is total BS. Wear it until it falls apart.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on somebody to give me permission, I guess.
There you have it.
Because there are some shirts that I've had that I've been like wearing to work for like the last decade or so, and I still wear them regularly. And it's like, I still like these.
My hot take is, who cares? And anyone who does care is an asshole.
But do you think people do?
No, honestly, I don't. I think people who do care are not people whose opinions you should be valuing anyway. And I think that the people who do care are fewer and further between than the reasonable folks who are like I'm going to call myself reasonable in this one instance, even though I'm unreasonable in many others. Like myself, who say, fuck that. You bought it. Wear it for as long as you like.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was actually trying to think. I don't know how long I've had this shirt. Probably like 8 years. I still enjoy it. You know, it's fine
to me. You and I have rather different senses of style as well. So like,
yeah.
I'm also just not going to tell you what to do.
I mean, most of the time in my personal life, unless I'm going out and about, I'm just comfy. I'm just wearing my t-shirts and my comfy pants.
ABC, always be cozy.
Yeah. But like, I had meetings. Yeah, I had meetings and stuff today, so I was like, oh, I will put on a shirt that is not a t-shirt, you know? And so I gotta have clothing for that
why
purpose.
I wear my Wonder Woman underoos. I absolutely love that for you, TJ Lamb 0518.
That's like when we talked about the importance of fun socks.
Fun socks are so important.
Yes. Yeah, right, because even if you gotta be like a grown-up and be professional, you can play with your undergarments. Yes, you can have fun.
I had Wonder Woman undies at one point, and then I wore them until they got holes in them.
Yeah, there's definitely a time limit on underwear.
Definitely a time limit on underwear. How much of a time limit do we think there is on bras?
Until they stop being supportive.
Yeah, honestly, I'm seriously wearing my Bigfoot socks as we speak. Even better, buddy.
I'm not wearing any socks, but if I were, they would definitely have something ridiculous on them, because all of my socks do.
Yeah, I'm also currently sockless. Yeah, so bras. Yeah, until they either stop being supportive or they stop fitting right.
Yeah, because to me that's like, they serve a function. In the same way that underwear, like they exist to serve a function, the rest of your clothing is more just like decoration, and so you
Pretty
don't get
much.
arrested.
Yeah.
So,
For decoration
like
and for
that.
legal purposes.
Yeah, and because most people, I'm gonna guess. Oh, this is an interesting question. Actually, now I think about it, maybe just interesting to me. Like, I would guess that the average person has about a week and a half worth of underwear.
Do you see any clips from that podcast, The Basement Yard?
No,
Ever? Doesn't
no.
matter. One of the guys, they were talking about how many pairs of underwear the average person has / should have in rotation. And this one guy was like, I have like 13. And I was like, okay, that's fair. The other guy said like 30 or 40.
Why?
What the fuck are you talking about?
I guess if you want to do laundry once a month.
I mean, yeah, if you're like really determined to live that way, but I was just confused, if I'm being completely honest here.
Yeah. But I get, yeah. Yeah, I would guess like couple week and a half, couple weeks seems like
Yeah,
would be kind of
week and a half to 2 weeks.
I'm guessing.
Because like I think I probably have like somewhere in the range of 12 to 15 pairs of underwear.
I have more than I wear. Because I always get a bunch and then I'm like, oh, these are my favorites, so I just keep using the same, like, 10, 15 pairs.
Most of my underwear look the same, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. But so like, I guess the whole point being
on Monday, I missed that. I didn't see that. I'm gonna have to go back.
You need 10 sets minimum of underwear?
I feel like that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, definitely more than a week's worth, because I feel like everybody should be doing their laundry like once a week-ish.
But sometimes you don't get to it, and that's okay.
Yeah, which is why you got to have a little cushion.
You got to have exactly, you have to have the backup.
Yeah. So that's why I feel like that week and a half is like the good number of like, I can do my laundry once a week, but also I know I'm not going to run out if I get a little behind or something.
Yeah. But as far as like shirts, pants, and outerwear, like, that's yours. You bought that. Wear it until it falls apart, for all that I care. Like,
if there's a zombie apocalypse,
there's a zombie apocalypse, I think I have bigger problems on my hands.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like, I don't know that I'm gonna be that concerned with underwear at that point.
Yeah, no, I think it might be a minor concern. Like, maybe I will be a little bit concerned about it, but I think I'm gonna have bigger problems.
In my brain, I immediately started thinking like, no, there would be more important things like beer. That's a Zom 100 reference.
Fucking love Zom 100. Are they coming out with the second season of that anytime soon?
Well, I think they're making a second season. I don't know about the anytime soon part.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
But the entire reason I brought up the underwear, like, rotation is that generally people are going to have fewer pairs of underwear than they have, like, shirts. And so
as a person who collects t-shirts.
Yeah. So underwear are going to wear out like more quickly because you're wearing them more frequently and washing them more frequently.
This is true.
But certain shirts, like if you have a large shirt collection, you might have shirts that you only wear a couple times a year.
I mean, guilty as charged.
Again, my more like grown-up work type shirts, like most of those I wear 2 or 3 times a year. That's it. And I have an insane number of t-shirts, and I have bins full of them now because I refuse to give any of them up, even though I have no room in my dresser anymore.
Hey, sometimes it just be like that.
Yeah, and I keep buying more, just more and more t-shirts.
Yep, so do I.
But it just feels like, I think there's another sort of sub question that I had in my mind with t-shirts. I think so. If you get like a tour t-shirt and it has like the year of the tour on it, to me, there's sort of like an interesting curve where like when it's super recent, wearing that shirt is super fun because it's like just this year,
I
just
was
last
just
year, I
there.
got to do this. Yeah.
Yes.
But then there's like an awkward period where it's like, oh, that was, a while ago. They're just wearing this old t-shirt. And then at some point it passes into,
And then
well,
it
now that's like
becomes
a vintage shirt. Yeah.
Ah.
So I feel like there's sort of like a fun curve there where it's like
It's like
super
the
cool.
bell curve.
Yeah. And I sort of this question in my mind of like, at what point do we hit that?
I must say though, I don't know if I personally observe that rule because I am still wearing Powerwolf shirts from like 2-3 years ago.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying it means you wouldn't wear things, but like, yeah, so true.
Depends on if the band stays relevant and scandal free. Yeah, you're so right.
But in terms of like thinking they're like the shirts are cool in a general sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, the reason I thought about this is I was wearing my T-shirt from last year's Mother tour, which has the Grief Chapter Tour 2024 on it. And I was like, okay, so I think I can wear this for a couple more years and it'll feel like, still pretty recent. But then there's going to be a weird time, like in the 2030s, which sounds super futuristic, where it's just an old T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
like 2037, it's going to hit vintage.
Yeah.
Nickelback shirt won't be available until 2040. No, you're so right, King.
Yeah, so it's like, at what point does that hit where it like comes back around again? Where like now it's extra cool because you were there for this.
Yeah,
concert
that is
that long ago.
A very good question. I'm not sure I know.
Yeah, I only have one tour shirt. That I know where it is anyway, that I think is old enough to qualify, and it's 21 years old.
Okay.
So it's from 2004. And it's
no comment.
It's from a band called The Casualties,
mm-hmm.
which is a hardcore punk band.
Love it.
So I feel like extra cool because not only is it like from 20 something years ago, but it's a hardcore punk band. It's well, I mean, if you know anything about punk, like they're huge. They've been around for decades. They have a huge cult following. Like,
oh well,
it's.
I'm not the punk. You are. I'm the metalhead.
It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's not just music. I look up pictures of The Casualties and you'll see what I mean. But
noted.
But yeah, like I feel like it's only 21 years old, but I feel like it's hitting that because if I'm around, folks younger than myself, they're going to be like, wow, 2004, I was 6 years old. While I was going to hardcore punk shows.
Yep.
So and I feel like
here we are.
Yeah. But unfortunately that one it's getting a bit worn out, so I don't really wear it often because I don't want it to fall apart completely.
Yeah,
that part. But
yeah, I don't know. I do kind of agree, although I don't know if I'm personally going to observe this quote unquote rule.
Again, I don't think it's a rule. I will not stop wearing the shirts at any point if I want to wear them. It's just I think there is some sort of switching point where it's like,
okay,
now it's vintage.
I like it. All right. If someone was taped in 2004, you're allowed to slap them. God damn it.
So I can slap her the next time we're in the same room.
I guess.
I've been given permission by the audience.
All right. Would we like to move on? Question number 3. Do it on camera.
That actually sounds like a
2024.
I think that sounds like a fun opportunity for us to work on our stage fighting techniques.
Ooh, we could have a real fun time with this.
Yeah. Oh, except I just told them it would be fake. There's no way it would be good enough that they would think it wasn't anyway, so.
Yeah. Well, looks like I'm getting slapped, which I'm surprisingly fine with.
Yeah, I mean, we have talked, I'm going to say,
We
sort of
have
at
talked
length.
about punching each other in the face.
Yeah, about wanting to know what it's like to be punched in the face, but not actually wanting to be punched in the face.
Yeah.
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 All right.
What's question number
So
3, Bestie?
I did mention this one to you before we got started.
Yes. And I need to know what inspired this.
So the question is, how long would you allow yogurt to sit out on the counter, like unrefrigerated, and still eat it?
So I don't like yogurt.
Insert dairy product.
At all. Like 30 minutes tops, man.
Interesting. So like if you left your milk sitting out for half an hour, you would throw it away then?
Okay, here's the thing. If it was like a gallon jug of milk and I left it out for like half an hour and it was still because like what science fucking term is it where like a larger object will retain its temperature for a longer period of time than a smaller object? If I touch the container and it doesn't feel cold anymore, we have a problem. If it's still cool, even though it's been like, if it's a big gallon container of milk and it retains its temperature for a little while, half an hour, that's probably fine. Glass of milk, half an hour, gotta go.
Okay, interesting. So I'll provide the context for this. And it says yogurt because, there's a specific yogurt. It came from a story I was told. Mm-hmm. So when I was at Niagara Falls Comic-Con a few weeks ago, this is another one that sort of came from that a little bit. We went to this actually really good Italian restaurant. And got some really good food, and we had leftovers.
Potential good point in the comments here.
Yeah. Yep. And so I guess this part of the story isn't important, but I've already started. We had to check out of our hotel the next morning, and still we're going to spend all day Sunday at the Comic-Con. So we just put our leftovers in the trunk and like hoped for the best. And they ended up being fine. But I was like, you know what? If I get food poisoning, it's worth it because this shit's delicious.
Sometimes that prompted like that.
That prompted my friend to tell me a story about a friend of hers who I also know, where she had left yogurt sitting on her kitchen counter for days.
Ugh.
And still ate it.
No. Fuck that.
She got hospitalized with food poisoning. Had to go on IVs.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea. Why would you do that? And also, I need you to tell me who this was when we're off the air.
I mean, the person who
I don't
did this
care
is
if I don't know
you
them.
know. I was going to say, you wouldn't know
I don't care. I still need to know who did this.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like...
No, I would not do that. I would not leave a dairy product. If I leave a dairy product out on the counter and it's not still at least cool when I return to it, it's gone.
Yeah, I think that's the good rule. Yeah, because as long as it's at least a little cold, it probably hasn't really started breeding anything yet.
Yeah.
But then, like, that made me think about, like, meat and stuff like that. Like, if you leave your leftovers sitting out to cool before you put them in the fridge and you forget about it, what's the cutoff?
I mean, like, I feel like an hour, you're fine. But if you start pushing that, then you get a little sketchy.
See, my cutoff is 3 hours.
Interesting.
And I remember that it was based on
this
something.
Might also just be because I am a being that made purely of intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, I think I had read something from the FDA or something that gave me that idea of 3
Oh,
hours.
sure. I mean, I'll listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So we see, unless it's pizza or fried chicken, 2 to 3 hours max. Wait, so pizza and fried chicken can be out longer
I mean,
or
people eat
less?
room temperature pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. There's nothing like going to some sort of event where they get those giant sheets of pizza and then they just leave it sitting there and you can just come and grab it when it's been sitting there for a couple of hours. I don't know why, but it somehow feels extra good.
Day old pizza rocks. I am not on that train.
Which train?
The old pizza train. The like pizza that's been sitting out.
Wait, so you're saying you let pizza sit out for a whole day? Just out?
I'm a little fascinated by the implications of this comment.
Well, that I was actually going to bring up another a person who said that they order pizza and then they leave it out for days and just eat from it until.
No, bad. I don't like that.
But here's the thing, like they've never gotten sick from it.
I mean, yeah, it's probably not going to kill you. I just don't think it would be sad. Like, it's not going to taste, like, to me, it's not going to taste good, man.
I
Overnight in
mean,
the box because you're drunk. Okay, that's one thing. Overnight in the box because you're drunk. We've all been there.
that's important context, yeah.
Yeah, very important context.
Yeah. But it's yeah, to me, I basically have with leftovers, my rule is like 3 hours, but it, shorter if it's like seafood, because seafood goes
Oh
bad.
yeah, absolutely.
So it kind of depends a little bit, but yeah, dairy products in particular would make me particularly nervous. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there.
Yeah, so I think if the thing is totally warm, I'm not eating it. If I can feel even just a little higher than room temperature from it,
It's fine.
Or lower, I guess, than room temperature, cold, yeah, whatever.
Imagine sushi left out. I would prefer not to.
God, have I told that story on the pod before of when I ordered sushi from Wegmans like ahead? I ordered it online to pick up, and they ended up making it sooner than I needed it, and they left it sitting out on a shelf.
Ew.
And that's where it was when I went to pick it up. And they didn't understand why I insisted on them remaking it. It had been sitting on a shelf for hours.
Yeah, of course, it's raw fucking fish.
Yeah. And they were like acting like it was such a big deal to remake it. I'm like, do you want me to die? Is this what you want?
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's sketchy
not.
as fuck.
Yeah. Like cooked fish is one thing. If you're eating raw fish, like that's
No, absolutely. Oh, hello, Nick.
As short as possible. She meowed as soon as you said that, so I believe she was responding to you.
Void.
Yes, she interrupted my meetings today.
Love that.
But yeah, I mean, it absolutely ridiculous for days. Like I can't imagine any person on the planet saying I would do the same.
No, not even no. Under no circumstances, not even a little bit.
That's why I think it's funny. Like if you ask a person this question, they're probably going to say something like half an hour, maybe an hour, some whatever. And you're like, so not you're thinking in terms of minutes, not days.
Yeah,
3 days is my limit.
Need a conversation with this individual sounds fascinating.
She is unique.
Noted.
Yeah. People are weird, and I like that about them.
Do we have anything left to say about that, or do we want to hit the bell and begin the meditation?
Okay, I'm done with my bells.
I love that for you. Leave my coffee out and finish it. Whatever. I mean, it's gross. Nope. Probably not going to kill you.
Nope.
All right. Shall we begin the meditation?
Nyx is going to join us for the meditation.
Aw, so sweet. Or is she?
Are you going to jump?
Come on, you can do it.
Okay, she changed her mind, I guess. She just stared at me and meowed a few times.
In that case, never mind.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
Listen, cue ball, you're only making it worse.
Thanks, that even makes it worse.
It's worse than you know.
It usually is.
I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
That's the worst goodbye I've ever heard. And you stole it from a movie.
How marvelous.
How have you gotten worse in the last 3 weeks since we've seen each other?
Yeah, I went a little nuts at Niagara Falls Comic-Con.
Did you now? Explain.
I sure did. First of all, I got to meet Warwick Davis.
Exciting!
Yeah, I would love to go back in time and tell my, 6-7-year-old self that someday you're going to meet Willow.
That's awesome.
She would be over the moon, because that was one of my absolute favorite movies. I watched it all the time, almost wore out my VHS.
Love that.
Anyway, I waited in line for 2.5 hours to meet him and get his autograph. Yep, and I got a picture with him. So that was cool. But I bought a lot of things.
Can't say I'm shocked.
I bought 25 Lego minifigures.
Holy shit, girl.
Yeah, which I didn't realize until I counted them all up afterward. I was like,
oopsies.
My home is going to be taken over by these things at this point. But in my defense, this guy had JoJo minifigures.
All right.
And so I had to get all the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure minifigures I could find. And I got some cool Fallout ones.
Yo! That's awesome.
And I got Has-Been Hotel.
Ooh.
The Serpentious one is giving me problems because his tail's so long and he takes up too much space. So I figured out what I'm doing with him yet. But I got a lot of really cool ones.
I love that.
That I was pretty excited about, yeah. And I don't know if they're not at cons in the US or if they're just not as common or if I just happen to have not seen them. But there are vendors at Niagara Falls Comic-Con that have these mystery bags. Anime mystery bags.
I've seen those. I've seen them at New York City Comic-Con. They're usually at bigger ones.
Yeah, so and they have all these, they're all anime shows, right? You just pick the bag from the anime you want, buy it, and then you get to see what's inside. It's a surprise,
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't do it last year, and I was like, you know what? I might get one this year because the curiosity's getting to me.
Mm-hmm.
But they had this thing that there was a special Eevee themed bag that you could only get if you bought 2 other bags.
Did you get it?
But you still had to pay for the Eevee bag. So basically you're buying 3 bags.
Did you get it?
I did.
Not shocked.
And man, do I regret my choice.
Oh no! Oh, that's not good.
They're not cheap. I think if you adjust for inflation, they're $30 a piece. So we're talking $90 on these bags.
That's not horrible.
Well, considering what's in them.
Yeah.
There was I got a couple of, well, first of all, I got that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Mm-hmm.
And I got Fairy Tale and then the Eevee bag. So I got a couple of Rubik's Cubes, which you're not going to use because you're not going to mess up the pictures or whatever. Every single one of them had a notebook. Every single one of them had a print, wall print, little one. But the thing is, it wasn't even just that the items themselves were crappy and no way could have added up to 45 Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them, the art on them was terrible. They didn't even try to make these things look good. I got an Eevee tumbler, which was clearly just one of those tumblers that you can insert your own image into with a crappy Eevee picture just shoved in there poorly.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was not good. But I got notebooks for all of them. This is my Slime Time one. And the Eevee one's pretty cute, actually. Still impressed.
Oh, that is kind of cute.
But I learned a valuable lesson.
Don't do that.
Yeah. And these are all products they apparently make themselves, and then they put their own prices on it. It's like, you just did that so you could say they add up to a $60 value. Because there are
Pretty
things
much.
like, oh yeah, this is a $20 value, and it's like, that is absolutely
No,
not
it's not.
a thing anybody would pay that much for. 15 US. I kept having to convert. But and yeah, there were a bunch of other things. Got a bunch more Funkos because of course I did. Got Haruhi from Uran.
Nice.
High School His Club. That was an exciting one.
I love that show, man. Can I just take a second? Ouran High School Host Club is so much fun. I'm probably going to read the manga because it is a crime. It is a fucking crime that show didn't get a second season, because it literally would have encompassed the rest of the manga.
Yeah.
2 seasons and you have the whole thing. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think it's a great comfort show. Like, to cheer yourself up.
Hell yes.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to read the
Ouran
manga.
High School Host Club was great if you haven't watched it.
Speaking of which, this counts toward the worsening. I have been tearing through trying to catch up on Jujutsu Kaisen manga. Because if you remember, what was it, our last episode? Yeah, I think it was, that I mentioned something about like just loving Satoru Gojo, and somebody in the chat. Huh?
Something about Gojo.
Yeah. That, you know, because, we were talking about like celebrity crushes, and you were like, oh, I can't think of anybody, some like anime, and I was like, yeah, Satoru Gojo. And then somebody in the chat had said like, from the end of the anime or the end of the manga or whatever, and I'm like, oh god, now I have to know. So I've been tearing through the chapters of Juju. That was the picture I sent you the other day of your metal band name.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I came up with my metal band name. My metal band name would be Unrepentant.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, so that's worse. Continue to play Skyrim. And I believe I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of episode 860 on One Piece.
Holy shit.
Yep.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. So I'd say that's more than enough for me.
Okay, well, I am worse in several ways. One of which being that my new bedroom has a dedicated ghost shrine. So we've got that. I bought tickets to my first metal festival. If anyone is going to be at the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival, hit me up. Check these out. So,
I just bought concert tickets too.
Nice. So, you'll recall this guy.
Yeah.
My tiny squeaky Herbert West.
Yep. Excellent.
Same seller made a little Dan. So I have him now, which is great because I can make them kiss.
Yeah. Yep. Smoochies.
I can make them kiss, which is fantastic. Also, another way I'm worse that has to do with Reanimator. I've started writing Reanimator fan fiction. So
of course.
That's worse.
How much shipping Reanimator fan fiction of the two of them is out there?
There's a lot, which is fucking great if you're me and you're into that as well.
Yeah.
Because, God, that movie is so much homoerotic tension. Anyway, did I ever show you this?
I've seen it. It was in your bathroom.
Okay, yeah. So this is my Papa Copia ghost duck. But they recently released the Cardinal as a duck. So I got him dad to my ghost shrine. And that's another way that I'm worse. He just arrived in the mail today, and I already love him. So now I have 2. So definitely worse in that way.
By the way, there was somebody at Niagara Falls Comic Con with an awesome ghost cosplay, and I wanted to try to talk to them to take a picture to send you, but I never got close enough to them, like through the crowds. But
fair enough.
It was badass.
What were they cosplaying?
I don't remember.
Say details.
I mean, it was a version of Tobias Forge's persona. but I don't remember which
What
one.
was any color palette, anything?
No. Dude, this was a few weeks ago. I don't remember.
Fair enough. Figured I'd
Maybe
ask.
if you look through pictures from the con, you'd come across one of them. I honestly don't remember. I remember a lot of black. That's it.
That's fair.
Which doesn't help.
But I think those are the main ways that I'm worst. I continue to girl. I can't. I write so much fan fiction. I write it like I need it to survive, and it's not just Reanimator. It's Ghost too, and other things.
Yeah,
I'd be writing so much.
Oh, Canadian beer is strong. I did not drink any beer whilst in Canada. I did drink sangria at the Italian restaurant, and then they had a whole Trailer Park Boys thing at the con because like the guys from that show were there. I've never watched it.
Oh, sure.
But apparently they now have Trailer Park Boys branded canned alcoholic beverages. And they were getting
that doesn't shock me.
And the thing that I drank, it was like Reanimator, like reagent, like the color.
Oh, fun.
Actually, no, it was a little greener, I would say, a little greener than that, but definitely very unnatural.
Love it.
Tasted kind of like limeade.
Okay.
It was bad. It was pretty bad.
Noted.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm worse in any other ways. I've been like too busy to get like crazy worse. But that's gonna change now. Now that like everything is where it needs to be, I'm gonna have lots of time to get worse.
Yeah, I've got another Comic-Con coming up in a week and a half.
Yay!
Maple City Comic-Con in Buffalo. So
nice.
Going 2 days for that too, because there's a number of panels we both want to see. I did get to see the kid from the original Willy Wonka.
Yeah, you texted me about that.
Peter Ostrom, yeah, which was super funny because like that was literally the only movie he ever did.
Yep, he's like a dentist or a veterinarian or something.
He's a vet, and so like they were talking about it, and they were like, "Oh, so you retired now?" Because he's getting up there in years, and he was like, "No, I was literally at work this morning." So
sure, why not?
Right, and he's in the U.S., I believe, and so he goes and works like part of the day at his job, and then goes to a Comic-Con in Canada to do a panel. Like, what a weird
I love that. Yeah, really.
Yeah, so I got to see a lot of interesting panels, interesting people.
I love it.
Yeah, it was nice.
All right, so if we got anything coming up, we're going to be streaming tomorrow, also at 8 o'clock, doing some video games together. I don't know if we're going to be playing Fallout 76 or something else, but we will be doing something co-op.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did finally finish Portal 2, so that's exciting.
Nice!
Yeah.
Arthur and I are going to get back, now that his big boy firefighter training is almost over, Arthur and I are going to get back into it with Regrettable Reviews very soon. I think we're going to be doing a 2 nights in a row, June 27th. It's either the 27th and the 28th, or the 20. I think it's the 28th and the 29th. But we're going to be talking about Bride of Reanimator and Beyond Reanimator because we're doing a month of Beyond Reanimator.
Is it what days of the week?
Friday and Saturday.
In that case, it would have to be the 27th and 28th.
27th and 28th. That is what I thought. So check that out when that comes. Those I believe are going to be at 7:30, but I'll have to double check with him. Yeah. Anything else to announce? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we're getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, it'll take a little time it actually kind of feels weird.
Yeah, it feels like it's been forever, but hey, we will get back into it. All right. Art is a figment at this point. Yeah, Arthur doesn't actually exist anymore. He's been a collective hallucination. He never existed in the first place. All right. As always, thank you for fighting with us, friends. We appreciate each and every single one of you, and we will, in fact, be back next week. We will see you then. Adios, everybody. This week's episode of the Fighting with Friends podcast was hosted by Bridget Kelly and Dr. Sarah Brooks. You can find other episodes of the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or your other favorite listening platform. Catch us live on Twitch every Wednesday and Thursday, and for ad-free live broadcasts of the show, you can subscribe to our Twitch channels or consider donating to our Patreon for ad-free access to our entire library of past episodes and streams, as well as fun bonus content. Fighting with Friends is a member of the Big Dumb Monsters podcast network. Check out the links in the description for more episodes from us and from all of the shows on the network. Thanks for listening!